Welcome to the Daily English Lab podcast. On this channel, we don't just teach English, we show you the actual strategies that native speakers use to communicate naturally. If this is your first time here, I really recommend hitting that subscribe button because we drop new learning techniques every week that actually transform the way you speak and understand English. Now, let me ask you something. Why does listening feel so impossibly hard? You understand English in written form. You can read articles, emails, even novels. But the moment you press play on a real English conversation, everything sounds like gibberish. Your brain moves way too slow. Native speakers talk too fast. There are accents, connected speech, slang. It feels overwhelming. The reason this happens is simple. Your brain hasn't learned to process English at natural speed. You've learned English in a classroom environment where everything is clear, slow, and carefully pronounced. Real English is messy, fast, and organic. That's the gap we're closing today. Shadowing, or what I call speak-along practice, is basically the bridge between textbook English and real English. It's a technique used by professional linguists, interpreters, and language coaches for decades. And here's the thing, it works for literally any language. But it's especially powerful for English because English has so much connected speech and reduction that you need to hear it constantly to understand it naturally. In the next 15 minutes, we're covering 5 game-changing areas. First, I'm explaining exactly what shadowing is and why it's different from just listening passively. Second, we're breaking down the 3 levels of shadowing so you know which one matches your current level. Third, I'm showing you the exact materials and resources you should be using, because not all content is created equal. Fourth, we're tackling the biggest mistakes people make when they try shadowing. Spoiler, most people do it wrong, which is why they don't see results. And finally, I'm giving you a concrete 30-day practice plan so you can start tomorrow. Before we dive in, I want to hear from you. What's been your biggest frustration with listening in English? Is it fast speech? Accents? Understanding movies and shows? Drop your answer in the comments below. Seriously, I read every comment, and it helps me create videos on the topics you actually care about. Let's get into it. The real problem with passive listening. Most English learners have a fundamental misunderstanding about how listening works. They think, if I listen to English content enough, eventually my brain will just absorb it. This is actually wrong. Passive listening, just having English playing in the background while you scroll social media, barely helps your listening skills. Why? Because your brain isn't actively engaged. You're not training the specific neural pathways you need to process English at natural speed. Think of it like this. If you watch 1,000 hours of soccer on TV but never actually play soccer yourself, you're not going to become a great soccer player, right? You might understand the rules better, but your muscles don't know what to do. Language learning works the same way. Your ears need active practice. They need to be challenged. This is where shadowing comes in. Shadowing is when you listen to a native speaker and speak the exact same words at the exact same time, trying to match their pronunciation, intonation, and rhythm. It's active listening with your mouth engaged. You're not translating. You're not analyzing grammar. You're mimicking, and that's the magic. Real talk. When I started learning Spanish, I spent 6 months doing traditional listening comprehension exercises. I'd listen, answer questions, check answers. My listening score on tests went up, sure, but when I was actually talking to Spanish speakers, I was lost. Then I discovered shadowing. I spent just 2 weeks doing 15 minutes of shadowing every single day, and suddenly I could understand conversations in real time. The difference was night and day. That's not an exaggeration. That's the power of this technique. Why does shadowing work better than passive listening? Because it forces your brain to process English the way it actually comes out of people's mouths. Native speakers don't speak word by word with pauses. They blend sounds together, drop syllables, use connected speech. When you shadow, your mouth learns the physical patterns. Your ears learn the actual rhythm. It's like your whole mouth and brain sync up together. Here's a surprising statistic. Studies show that learners who do shadowing for just 10 to 15 minutes daily improve their listening comprehension by 40% in the first month alone. 40%! Compare that to passive listening, which might improve your comprehension by maybe 5 to 10% in the same time frame. Let me give you a quick example. Imagine you're listening to someone say, "Did you want to go?" A native speaker says it like, "D'ya wanna go?" The sounds blend together. Your typical English class taught you, "Did you want to go?" with clear separation between words. That disconnect is why real English sounds impossible. But when you shadow the phrase over and over, your mouth learns the actual pattern, and suddenly you start hearing it correctly. Your brain stops trying to match the textbook version and learns the real version instead. Here's what I want you to do right now. Think about a phrase that always trips you up when you hear it. Is it, "What are you doing?" Does it sound like "what you doing?" If you've ever been confused about what someone said, write that phrase in the comments and I'll explain what's actually happening with the connected speech. Next up, we're going into the 3 levels of shadowing, because here's the truth, not everyone should start at the same level. Trying to shadow advanced content when you're still a beginner will just frustrate you and waste your time. Let me show you how to find your perfect starting point. The 3 levels of shadowing. Know your starting point. Before you start shadowing, you need to know your level, because there are 3 distinct stages, and starting at the wrong level will derail your progress faster than you can say, "English is impossible." Level 1. Shadowing with a script. This is where most people should start, especially if your listening comprehension is below intermediate. Here's what you do. You have the English text in front of you. You listen to a native speaker reading that text, and you follow along word by word, saying the words out loud as you read and hear them simultaneously. Does this sound easy? Good. That's because level 1 isn't really about listening comprehension. It's about training your mouth and ear to work together. You're learning the physical patterns of English speech, how sounds connect, where stress falls, how rhythm works. Your eyes and ears are coordinating with your mouth. Why does this level matter? Because if you jump straight to shadowing without a script when you're a beginner, your brain gets overwhelmed. You can't hear the words fast enough to say them, and you end up just mumbling along to sounds you don't understand. That's frustrating, and it doesn't actually help you improve. The best content for level 1? TED Talks. They speak clearly. English learning apps like Speechling, or textbook audio that's designed to be heard clearly. You want material that's not too fast, not too slow. Think about 150 words per minute. You might think, but if I'm reading, how am I improving my listening? Great question. You're training the rhythm and patterns. You're matching your mouth to natural speech. You're learning how English actually sounds when real humans say it. That foundation is absolutely essential. Common mistake at this level? Rushing through the material too fast. People want to progress quickly, so they speed through level 1 shadowing and move to level 2 before their mouth has really learned the patterns. Spend at least 2 weeks at this level. Yes, 2 weeks. You'll thank me when you get to level 2 and it feels 10 times easier. Level 2. Shadowing without a script. Now you're ready for the challenge. You're listening to a native speaker and you're not looking at the text. You're hearing the words and speaking them as you hear them. Your brain is working harder now. You're not pre-reading the words. You're actually listening and processing in real time. This is when things get real. This is also when most people discover they're not as good at listening as they thought. You'll miss words. You'll say them slightly wrong. Your timing will be off. That's completely normal. In fact, that struggle, that's exactly what you want. That's your brain learning. The best content for level 2? News broadcasts, they speak naturally but clearly, podcasts aimed at learners, YouTube videos from content creators who speak naturally but not super fast. Think about 160 to 180 words per minute. Here's something that surprised me when I was developing my shadowing practice. At level 2, you don't need to understand every single word. You need to hear the sounds and reproduce them. Your listening comprehension will catch up, but the sound processing happens first. Common mistake at this level? Trying to understand everything. Your brain wants to translate or analyze what's being said. Don't. Just focus on the physical act of saying the words. The comprehension will follow naturally. Trust the process. Level 3. Shadowing natural speech. Advanced. Here, you're listening to native English speakers having real conversations, interviews, movies, or podcasts designed for native speakers. No script, no simplified speech, no special accommodations. This is English in the wild. At this level, your ear has been trained, your mouth knows the patterns, you're not thinking about the mechanics anymore, you're just speaking along while maintaining your comprehension. This is where most advanced learners live. Content for Level 3? Pretty much anything. Movies, podcasts, YouTube channels about actual topics, interviews, casual conversations. Think about 180 words per minute with natural pauses, accents, and connected speech. Common mistake at this level? Expecting perfect accuracy. You won't always catch every word. Native speakers don't always understand each other perfectly either. The goal at Level 3 is maintaining flow and continuing to improve your accent and natural phrasing, not achieving 100% word-for-word accuracy. So here's what I want you to do. Evaluate your current listening level honestly. Can you understand a TED Talk without subtitles? Can you follow a movie with subtitles? Can you understand your friends when they talk naturally? Based on your answer, you know whether you're a Level 1, Level 2, or Level 3 person. Comment below and tell me which level you're starting with. I'm curious. The perfect materials and resources. Not everything works. Okay, here's something nobody tells you. Not all English content is equally good for shadowing practice. Some materials will actually slow your progress down. Let me break down what actually works. Best materials for shadowing. The absolute best materials are English learning resources specifically designed for listening practice. I'm talking about Speechling, Forvo, or platforms like LinkU. These are created by language professionals. The audio quality is clear, the pacing is deliberate, the content is appropriate for learners at different levels. But here's the thing, if you only use learning materials, you miss out on real English. Real English has different speech patterns. Real English has emotion and emphasis that textbook audio doesn't always have. So my recommendation, do about 70% of your shadowing with actual learning content and 30% with authentic native content. By authentic, I mean YouTube channels, podcasts, TED Talks, or movies. This combination trains your ear for both structured English and natural English. What to avoid? Don't use music. I know it's tempting because it's fun, but songs have weird rhythm patterns. The words are stretched or shortened artificially. The connections between words are different from normal speech. You'll learn some useful intonation, but it's not efficient for shadowing. Don't use very fast content at first. If you're doing Level 2 shadowing and you choose a podcast that's recorded at 200 words per minute, you're setting yourself up for failure. Your brain literally can't process that fast yet. Don't use transcription apps to replace understanding. Some learners use apps that auto-generate subtitles and then they just read along. That defeats the purpose of shadowing. The goal is to train your listening, not just read faster. My personal resource recommendations. TED Talks with transcripts are perfect for Levels 1 and 2. They speak clearly, the content is interesting, and transcripts are always available. For Level 2, I love BBC Learning English on YouTube. Their videos are specifically designed for learners, but they use authentic English. Perfect balance. For Level 3, YouTube channels like Crash Course, Veritasium, or news channels are excellent. Real content, natural speed, genuine English. Podcasts are amazing because they have transcripts, they're long form, and they represent how real English speakers talk. Just pick podcasts that match your interests. If you love cooking, find a cooking podcast. If you love history, find a history podcast. The key is staying engaged. Here's a practical tip. Create a shadowing playlist. Find 5 pieces of content you actually enjoy. Rotate through them. Spend 1 week on one piece, then move to the next. When you rotate, you get variety in voices, accents, and topics, which forces your brain to adapt constantly. That adaptability is what makes you a great listener overall. Quick question for you. What topics genuinely interest you? Sports? Technology? Comedy? Tell me in the comments and I can recommend specific content you should be shadowing. Seriously, the more interested you are in the content, the better your practice will be. The biggest mistakes, why your shadowing isn't working. You might have tried shadowing before and thought this doesn't work, or maybe you're about to start and you want to avoid wasting time. Let me show you the 3 biggest mistakes that sabotage shadowing practice and how to avoid them. Mistake number 1, not speaking loud enough. This is the most common mistake. People shadow silently or with barely any voice. They're trying not to bother anyone, so they mouth the words without actually saying them. Here's why this doesn't work. Your tongue, lips, and voice box aren't actually learning the patterns. You're not training the physical mechanics of English speech. You're just exercising your hearing. Shadowing requires volume. Not screaming at your neighbor's volume, but actual audible speech. Your family should be able to hear you. If you're worried about disturbing others, put in headphones and speak at normal conversation volume into the headphones. Your brain needs to hear your own voice matching the native speaker's voice. I had a student once who complained that shadowing wasn't working. When I asked her to shadow something in front of me, I realized she was barely moving her lips. I told her to actually speak out loud, and she got self-conscious. But once she pushed through that feeling and spoke normally, everything changed. Within 2 weeks, her listening comprehension jumped significantly. Mistake number 2, starting too fast or too advanced. I see this constantly. Someone decides to start shadowing and they pick a podcast about quantum physics at native speed. They've been learning English for 6 months. It's a disaster. They can't hear anything. They can't speak along. They get frustrated and quit. Here's the rule. Start with content 20 to 30% easier than where you think you are. If you think you're an intermediate learner, start with beginner or early intermediate content. It should feel a little easy, not impossible. Easy shadowing builds your confidence and actually trains your brain better because you can focus on the physical patterns rather than just trying to survive. As you get comfortable, you gradually increase the difficulty. Maybe every 2 weeks you move to slightly more challenging content. This gradual progression is what creates lasting improvement. I promise you, spending 2 weeks shadowing easier content will make you better at English than spending 2 weeks struggling with material that's too hard. Mistake number 3, inconsistency. Treating it like a one-time thing. The biggest mistake of all, not doing it consistently. Some people shadow once or twice, think they've done shadowing, and move on. Shadowing isn't something you do once, it's a daily practice. It's like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth once and think your teeth will stay clean forever. The benefits of shadowing compound. Day 1 to day 3, you might not notice much. But day 7, you're hearing words you couldn't hear before. Day 14, your accent is noticeably different. Day 30, other people start commenting that you sound more native. Here's what I recommend. 15 minutes of shadowing daily is infinitely better than 2 hours once a week. Your brain learns consistency. It builds new neural pathways through repetition. One intensive session per week doesn't train your brain the same way. Create a habit. Practice in the morning, during lunch, while you're exercising, whatever works for you. Just make it daily. Your 30-day shadowing challenge. All right, here's where the rubber meets the road. I'm giving you an exact 30-day plan. You can start this tomorrow. No excuses, no complicated systems, just simple, doable practice. Days 1 to 7, Level 1 shadowing. Script-based. Pick one TED Talk or learning resource, listen to a 2 to 5 minute segment, print the transcript or have it on your screen. Read and listen simultaneously, speaking out loud. Do this for 15 minutes daily. Don't move to the next segment until you feel comfortable with the sounds and rhythm. Days 8 to 14, Level 2 shadowing. No script. Keep using the same TED Talks or add a BBC Learning English video. Now, without looking at the script, listen and shadow. You'll miss some words. That's fine. Keep going. If you really need to, check the script after you've tried shadowing it once. Days 15 to 21, Level 2 with new content. Switch to a different source, maybe a podcast, maybe a YouTube channel about something you love. Shadow for 10 to 15 minutes. You're still doing levels 1 and 2 practice too. Don't abandon that. You're just adding more challenging material to push yourself. At the end of day 30, you'll be dramatically better at listening. You'll notice native speakers talk slower. You'll catch words you've never caught before. Your accent will sound different. Your confidence will skyrocket. Let me lock in the most important points so you actually remember this and take action. First, shadowing is active listening where you speak along with native speakers in real time. It's different from passive listening because your brain and mouth are actively engaged. Second, there are 3 levels. Start with level 1 if your listening is weak, level 2 if you're intermediate, level 3 if you're advanced. Don't skip levels. Third, use learning materials for 70% of your practice and authentic native content for 30%. This gives you both structure and real-world exposure. Fourth, speak out loud. Start with easier content than you think you need and practice daily. Consistency beats intensity. Fifth, use the 30-day plan. That's your roadmap. Follow it and I guarantee you'll see results. Here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Becoming fluent in English takes effort. There's no magic pill, but there are methods that work exponentially better than others. Shadowing is one of them. It's literally the technique used by professional interpreters and language coaches worldwide. You now have the exact system. You know the levels, you know what materials to use, you know the mistakes to avoid, you know your 30-day plan. The only thing left is action. So here's what I'm asking. Start tomorrow. Seriously, don't wait. Pick one piece of content today. Tomorrow morning, do your first shadowing session. 15 minutes. That's it. And please comment below. Tell me which content you're going to start with. Tell me your current listening level. Tell me what's holding you back from better English. I genuinely read your comments and they inspire me to create more videos like this. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. We drop new English learning techniques every week on Daily English Lab, and each one is designed to actually transform the way you speak and understand English. Next week, we're breaking down the 5 most confusing connected speech patterns in English. You know those moments where native speakers say something and you have absolutely no idea what they just said? We're fixing that. Until then, keep practicing, keep shadowing, keep speaking. Your English is already better than it was yesterday. I'm rooting for you. This is Daily English Lab. Let's speak better English together.